What's up, y'all? I just ordered some Smith & Wesson firearms, a couple that I'm really excited about here, and they just arrived at the shop. So coming to pick them up, figured this was a great opportunity to take a look at these guns, but also talk through, before receiving a firearm, what do I actually need to inspect? What do I need to check out? What do I need to make sure is right legally and just in terms of the gun? Make sure everything got packaged with it, make sure it makes sense, make sure it's what I ordered. So here with Kyle, you do this every single day. Help me out. What do I need to look for? Let's start with the pistol.
Yeah, the firearms world is very interesting compared to buying anything else, basically. So the reason why this is so important is once you complete the paperwork of 4473 and you walk out of the store with that firearm, it's officially yours. It's very difficult at that point in time for the FFL to be able to take what would be considered a used firearm back. So that's why inspection is so important. It's not just making sure you like how it feels, which is important, but it's making sure that it's functioning properly and it's everything you were looking for before you ended up walking out of the storefront with it.
Okay.
So right here on top, we have a Smith & Wesson pistol. This is going to be one of their MMPs. What I would always like to do when you walk into a gun store, let it be GrabAGun or any other business, do make sure to let the gun store employee be the one to open the box for you. They're going to go ahead and check the firearm and make sure that it is clear. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to get this guy out of the packaging. We're going to go ahead and keep it in a safe direction. And we're going to just make sure that Smith & Wesson didn't give anything free in this firearm. When it comes to being the customer, the individual in this instance, once the FFL has confirmed it's clear, this is your opportunity to now look over the firearm. My recommendations to my customers are to go for physical defects first. Don't get too into the firearm and into the function because we will review that together. But in this instance, you want to make sure that the finish looks good, that there's no sort of scratches, damages, anything that could have happened at the factory or in shipping and receiving. We want to make sure that the gun is just as perfect for you as you want it to be as well. And so that's always the first step, is beauty. Just absolutely making sure that it looks just as good as you thought it was when you bought it from the first place. From there, we can do a function check with the firearm. So of course, in all sorts of safety, we will again make sure the chamber is clear. We have an empty magazine here. We can go ahead and put the magazine in the firearm and confirm that it locks open. For handguns, this is a very good test. If your handgun does lock open on an empty chamber, make sure to get an empty magazine in there and confirm it is locking open. Of course, we have a magazine release. We can hit and drop our magazine, making sure our magazine release is working. And if your pistol offers slide hold opens or slide releases, you can also confirm that the slide holds and slide releases are letting go. That is a general function test for a pistol that basically is touching all the buttons without having to completely take the pistol down. Now, depending on your FFL, depending on your gun store, they may allow dry firing, they may not. They may allow a magazine to be put in the firearm, they may not. Make sure to check with your FFL and your local dealer on how they're comfortable on your inspection of the firearm, but do not let an FFL make you take a firearm without looking at it. It is your purchase, it is your right to double check the firearm and make sure it's as perfect as it's supposed to be, basically. But now that we've done a general function check with the firearm, we can go ahead and review the box, because just like with any other product, you do want to make sure that it included everything that it was supposed to, that you don't notice anything off with the box, maybe some damages or something that could even be convinced that it was a used item. Right now, an FFL is trying to pass off to you to some extent or something like that.
So our legally required lock.
Yep, gun lock.
I think this is interesting. So many guns now coming with fiber optic sight systems and different plate mounting systems.
And even a threaded barrel adapter. That's you right here getting ready for a suppressor. So included accessories. When purchasing from GrabAGun, we will always list on our website on the products page what it is included, so you can kind of have a reference in your head before you go into your FFL to check and make sure that everything is actually included in the box for you. So as you can see with this Smith & Wesson, we're going to have multiple magazines, the accessories, the threaded barrel adapter, very important for this specific SKU, our actual wrench so we can install it, and then of course sticker, manual, promotional goods, the usual stuff that you would want to find in your firearm box. A lot of firearm companies nowadays are switching over to QR codes. So if you are a fan of paper manuals like I am, unfortunately that is a dying time. You may get just a square piece of paper with a QR code in the box nowadays, but luckily all manufacturers upload all their manuals online, which of course is the best reference to look on how to take down your pistol, how to clean it, and how to maintenance it, basically. Absolutely. But with that, that is the general check I would recommend for any handgun being picked up. Absolutely.
And I know the serial number is going to be checked on the 4473.
Absolutely,
As a
yeah.
consumer, is there anything I need to do?
As a consumer, you're always more than welcome to check the serial number yourself.
Okay.
Now, if you have a competent FFL, or if you're picking up from GrabAGun, of course, we will always have the serial numbers checked. But as the purchaser of it, that's always a good recommendation. If you don't think your FFL did it, or you want to confirm yourself, find the serial number on the firearm, somewhere on the frame or the receiver, and double check it on the box.
Let's check out another one.
All righty.
So I actually got these because they use the exact same mags.
Yeah.
I kind of viewed it as a perfect pairing, like a real cool combination.
Yeah, Smith & Wesson's very smart about that. They do it with this FPC series, the M&P magazines, the Shield series. They love magazine cross-compatibility, which is just such a benefit to the consumer. And being able just to have a couple platforms, but all the same magazines at the end of the day. Yeah. The FPC is packaged a little unique, but just like with a handgun, we're going to let the dealer go ahead and get the firearm here out of the package. We're going to go ahead and get it opened up, and we are going to check the chamber and make sure that it is clear before we hand it off. And then as the customer, I always highly recommend double checking the chamber as well. But just like with the handgun, we're going to have it looked over, make sure we don't see any physical markings, damages, issues, nothing that looks funny. And all of my time transferring firearms, it is very rare to have a damaged firearm out of the box, but at this point, it is not impossible. That's why it is always worth spending just a few extra minutes double checking.
Our serial number? Yeah. Looks good.
Looking good. Awesome.
I feel like in my history of purchasing firearms, really the only issue I've ever seen is some rusty screws. Not on any of these, but just buying a gun that was transferred in somewhere else. Yeah. It might have been sitting for a long time.
Yeah, or they didn't have it in like
the only thing
climate control. Worst comes to worst. Sometimes we'll see little marks. That's the worst that I've basically seen is scratches and damages. Every once in a while, you get a gun that acts a little funny, and I do recommend maybe ordering another one. But even then, it's very rare. Manufacturers now are so good, but humans are still the ones that are shipping these out, and so there could be a boo-boo. You never know. With this FPC, included with it is going to be a manual for it, a paper manual, just like with the handgun. And then it includes a whole bunch of magazines with it. So for the FPC, I can actually do a few other tests that I wouldn't normally be able to do with another item. We're going to go ahead and take it. We'll go ahead and relock it up and make sure that everything is secure here. We'll go ahead and just pull this back just a hair and sneak it in. So with the FPC, you have these little magazine holders back here. And this is something I always like to do to confirm that they're working. I never just want to trust that these are 100% good to go, especially when I transfer them to our customers. So I like to try to lift them out and make sure that it's being held in. And then we're going to go ahead and confirm that the spring is actually letting it out. So this isn't necessarily just an FPC thing. Anytime your gun has a funny mechanic to it or something unique that other firearms don't have, it's always worth double checking, even if it's something as simple as a magazine holder. Because again, it's a brand new product. You don't want to walk away with something that could have been damaged or even a slight issue. We want you to be absolutely satisfied every single time. We'll go ahead and swing this guy open. We'll make sure that the bolt's moving just fine. We'll make sure that our safety's moving just fine. And then from there, with this item, since we have a threaded barrel already installed, a normal test I would do is to confirm that the threads are perfectly fine. A lot of people don't think about to check the threads. And again, at the end of the day, with modern machining, the chances of the threads being damaged or something is slight to none, but it's always worth taking the cap off, making sure you don't feel any crunching, making sure there isn't something wrong, because again, you don't want to take this to the range. You've owned it for 6 months, it's been a blast, and you go to put your can on it, and now it's inconcentric and it won't go on there correctly. So a little check to do, but always worth just double checking real fast.
And make sure you have that thread protector as well.
Absolutely, that it's not just a naked, that they might have forgot it, and you don't just have naked threads hanging out, because then you could easily damage them and then be up the creek without that paddle one more time. Good. Awesome. Everything looking good on the FPC for you today, sir?
Yeah, looks
perfect. Awesome. We got one more item we're going to go ahead and check up. We're going to go ahead and review an AR-15. AR-15 is one of America's most common and popular firearms. One of our #1 most sold items. Does have a lot of features and a lot of buttons. So there's always something worth double checking every single time on an AR. All righty, wonderful. This is going to be your Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 3, honestly, a standard AR-15. So again, just like we've done with everything else, we're going to go ahead and confirm that it is clear. Make sure Smith & Wesson didn't give anything for free today. Alrighty, and I got Firearm ready to go right there for you. So an AR-15 does have a lot of buttons. You got magazine releases and bolt controls and safeties, all things that are worth double checking and pressing. If your FFL isn't willing to do an inspection themselves, then for the AR, it's worth racking the charging handle, locking it open, making sure the bolt release does let it go as well, moving your safety and feeling that it is tactile and that it is clicking firmly into place, checking your trigger on safe and checking your trigger on fire, and then holding down your trigger and checking the reset. Again, with other firearms, you may not have to do as serious of tests because an AR has so much to it. It's just worth touching everything is always kind of what I like to say to everybody, basically.
Nothing too complex, just more pieces, more things to check.
Bingo, exactly, exactly.
And then obviously caliber. You want to make sure that
Bingo.
if I specifically ordered a 300 blackout,
Yes,
I'm not getting a 223.
Yes, in the AR world, that is 100% worth checking. AR-15s are commonly in 300 blackout and 5.56 223. So again, if you buy one or the other, check your barrel, double check the SKU, make sure that you did get the correct caliber. You know, you don't want to think you're buying a 300 blackout and it be a 5.56 barrel. That's just a problem waiting to happen right there. And then so with the AR-15, how I like to do my checks for our local customers is I'll go ahead and pick the item up. We'll go ahead and grab an empty magazine. We're going to slap it in and just make sure that this magazine is locking in and that no ifs, ands, or buts means it's going to come out. We do have a dust cover here. This dust cover is just to help keep debris and muck out of the action. We're going to go ahead and shut it right now and make sure it is shutting correctly. I have my magazine release right here. But before we press that, we're going to go ahead and yank on the bolt. This is to confirm that it not only locks open on the empty magazine, our dust cover also swings open automatically. So we want to make sure this isn't getting in the way of anything, and we want to make sure that the bolt easily locks open on that empty magazine. So far, we're good. Our magazine release, when pressed, should drop our magazine without any sort of issue at all. And then that, of course, brings us to our bolt controls, our hold opens and our releases. When we press our release, we could hear that guy go down, and we should be able to manually hold it open as well. Wonderful. Awesome, awesome. And then last but not least, we have our safety. Just like we checked with the other item, we're going to make sure that it is clickety-clackety or tactile, and that safety is legitimately safe, and that fires, and then while holding down the trigger, we'll cycle and make sure it resets. Again, you said it best, a simple item. There's just a lot of buttons on it, so it's nothing that can be complicated to an extent that you can't check real fast. There's just more than the normal amount of things to press and mess around compared to the other firearms we've looked at today. Absolutely.
I've noticed most pistols, there is no hard and fast rule, but most pistols tend to come with 2 mags. Now 3 is becoming more common. ARs, it's kind of all over the place.
It is
some come
all
with
over the
no
place.
mags, some come with a pile of them.
Absolutely. Again, it just goes back to checking the SKU, making sure you're getting everything you paid for. The market is very full right now with a lot of different items and a lot of different things you can buy. So it is kind of fun navigating around and making sure you're getting the best deal possible. But at the end of the day, that's all part of the function check, making sure that you got what you paid for and that you're walking out with what you wanted. Absolutely, But that's how I would individually recommend checking items, making sure that you're being safe with them when you're at another FFL or anytime you're here at GrabAGun, we're going to take care of you and make sure everything's perfect every single time.
And this all gets checked before I even begin my 44.
Absolutely, yes. Right? And I highly recommend that as well. If you aren't purchasing from GrabAGun and you're picking up from another FFL, I do insist you inspect the firearm before you touch any paperwork. Once that paperwork is done, the item is yours, inspection or not. Definitely worth looking at it. Definitely worth making sure it's what you wanted before you start filling out that 4473. Absolutely.
Well, very cool. I think this all kind of can be summed up by a stitch in time saves 9. Make sure everything's clear before you accept it.
Absolutely.
And all these Smiths are looking really good. So I'm ready to get them set up. Take them out to the range.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, man. All right, guys. Well, I hope that cleared up any questions you could have about transferring your firearm.
Yeah, I think you answered all my questions. Now we're ready to fill out our 4473, then get these loaded up and go to the range.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Awesome.